He arrived like a storm from Yonkers, a man shaped by life's hardest edges, but fueled by an undeniable fire. DMX, born Earl Simmons on December 18, 1970, would rise to become one of hip-hop's most raw, real, and restless voices. His story isn't just about music. It's a saga of pain, faith, and the relentless fight for survival. From the very beginning, his path was anything but smooth. Simmons' childhood was a battlefield marked by abuse and instability. He once said that his own mother knocked out 2 of his teeth with a broom. Imagine that. By the age of 10, he was expelled from school and cycled through group homes. It was in these dark corners of his youth that he discovered rap, transforming his rage, fear, and flickering hope into rhymes. This early trauma forged a voice that didn't just rap, it bled. It was immediate, unfiltered, and carried the weight of a life lived on the brink. Then, in the late 1990s, the world finally heard him roar. The hip-hop scene at the time was dominated by the shiny suit era of P. Diddy's Bad Boy Records, a world of glossy music videos, champagne flutes, and luxury yachts. DMX crashed that party. He came in with combat boots, baggy jeans, and a pit bull's energy. His debut major label album, It's Dark and Hell is Hot, released in 1998, was a cultural earthquake. It sold over 250,000 copies in its first week alone. And this wasn't just a hit, it was a statement. DMX proved that hip-hop could still be gritty, street-aged, and deeply spiritual. His next 2 albums also debuted at #1 on the Billboard 200, making him the first artist in history whose first 5 albums all debuted at the top of that chart. Think about that. 5 consecutive #1 albums right out of the gate. He wasn't just successful, he was a phenomenon. While tracks like Rough Riders Anthem and Party Up, Up in Here became club anthems that still get everyone hyped today, DMX was a walking contradiction. He carried the Bible in one pocket and his demons in the other. His albums were a mix of aggressive bangers, raw confessions, heartfelt prayers, and scars turned into art. He didn't just brag about his wins. He laid bare his wounds for everyone to see. He proved that an artist could be victorious and vulnerable at the same time, a warrior who wasn't afraid to show where he'd been hit. Perhaps his greatest strength was this very willingness to be completely, brutally honest. His music wasn't just about being tough, it was about the struggle to find light in the darkness. Take his song, Slippin'. It's less of a rap song and more of a sermon on survival. He recounts the abuse, the addiction, the feeling of falling, and the desperate plea for a second chance. It's a song that has saved lives because it tells people they were not alone in their struggle. This duality defined him. He was a man of deep faith. In interviews and in his autobiography, EARL, Simmons spoke about reading the Bible every single day. He was constantly searching for a higher purpose, trying to reconcile the war zone of the streets with the promise of something eternal. He would perform in front of thousands, barking and commanding the stage, and then, in the same show, lead the entire crowd in a sincere prayer. He wasn't playing a character, he was just Earl, a man torn between the sacred and the profane, and he invited all of us to witness that internal battle. But for every towering triumph, there was a deep, dark shadow, the same streets that made him also threaten to break him. The war he rapped about was not just lyrical, it was a daily reality he couldn't always win. Throughout his life, DMX was arrested more than 30 times. The charges were a laundry list of his struggles: drug possession, tax evasion, animal cruelty, and constant probation violations. His financial situation was just as chaotic. Despite selling millions upon millions of records, he filed for bankruptcy in 2013, citing child support obligations as his main priority. It was a shocking headline. How could a star this big be in such a state? The answer, tragically, was addiction. Cocaine, crack, and alcohol were relentless stalkers in his life. In 2016, he collapsed in a hotel parking lot, and it took first responders a full minute to revive him after a suspected overdose. he was a man preaching faith, yet constantly dragged down by the temptations of the flesh. A star shining brighter than almost anyone, yet haunted by debts and demons. A warrior who won the hearts of millions, but often lost the battles within himself. This contradiction is what made him so compelling and so human. He never pretended to be perfect. He was flawed, and he knew it, and he let the world see it. When DMX passed away on April 9, 2021, at the age of 50, following a heart attack linked to his long battle with drugs, the entire world seemed to pause. The outpouring of grief wasn't just for a rapper, it was for a brother, a father, a friend who felt like one of our own. He wasn't mourned because he was flawless, but because he was profoundly real. In a world of curated perfection, DMX tore open his chest and showed us his heart, beating, bruised, but always fighting. His legacy is etched into the very fabric of hip-hop. He left behind 8 studio albums, including the posthumous release Exodus, that continue to offer catharsis, clarity, and chaos to his fans. You can hear his influence everywhere today, in the gruff, passionate cadences of other rappers, in the wolf howl energy that so many try to replicate, and in the courageous honesty of artists who dare to talk about mental health and spirituality. DMX's story is like a fuse lit in the dark. He stormed through the explosions of a traumatic childhood, climbed to the absolute pinnacle of hip-hop fame, yet never fully escaped the weight of his past. His triumphs still shine, the chart-topping albums, the culture-shifting authenticity. His shortcomings still sting, the legal troubles, the addiction, the financial woes. But maybe that's what makes him a true legend. He never hid his faults. He fought his battles out in the open, for all of us to see. And in that raw, public fight, he became more than just a rapper. He became a mirror reflecting our own struggles, our own survival, and our own desperate hope for something better. If you take just one thing away from the life of Earl Simmons, let it be this. Greatness isn't about being perfect. It's not about the absence of faults or the lack of struggles. Greatness is about rising anyway. It is about falling down 100 times and having the courage to get up on the 101st. DMX fell, but he always, always rose. Thank you for watching.